My name's Carl Martin. As I say, I've been working in mobile for about 10 years now. Started off training as a designer and a developer at university, realized I was pretty bad at it, and then kind of pursued this quite generalist career, but ultimately building and launching mobile products throughout the 10 years of my career. I was head of mobile at Burberry, the luxury fashion brand, for 3 years. Worked recently for Us Too, the digital product studio out of New York. But ultimately, that's brought me to where we are today, which is building this new company, Works. So what Works is, for want of a better phrase, is kind of a LinkedIn for the Snapchat generation. I believe that LinkedIn is kind of gone its course, and there's an opportunity for something that's more relevant to kind of how millennials and kind of Gen Z are now actually using technology in order to help them build their careers. So what we actually do is we help people build relationships that unlock personal growth and professional opportunity. Lots of social networks, professional networks, they're all geared towards like collecting as many relationships as possible. Whereas for me, like, I've never got a job by applying for it. I've only ever got jobs through people I know. And I believe that it's the strength of those relationships which has unlocked that. And I believe that is a model that can be kind of coached and technology can support in delivering. So the first product we launched is called Ping. And basically what Ping is right now a digital business card. So what you do is you ask someone to enter their email, and then what it does in that moment is three things. One is it sends them an email that you customize with all your information, like, hey, great to meet you today, et cetera, et cetera. The second thing it does is it automatically recognizes your location. Like, one of the biggest things is people are like, where on earth did I meet that person? So now we've kind of solved that problem. And then the third thing what we do is we take the email that they enter, and we use that email to search all around the web and try and learn as much about that person as possible without getting a bit like scary and invasive, and then pull it back into the app so it looks like a profile. So this is the first digital business card application that doesn't rely on someone else having the app in order to actually work. So you can get it in the App Store today, search Ping, digital business card. Our ASO is terrible. That's it. So what I'm going to tell you about is how we got 4,000 downloads in a week. But actually, I don't really care about the fact that we got 4,000 downloads in a week. The thing that I really care about is the fact that over the past 4 or 5 months is we've actually created this community of what I call 1,000 advocates. Like, the people who are out there, like, telling everyone about their products, like, they're using it like you won't believe. And ultimately, these are the people who are driving our growth. Like, 35% of our user base so far has been totally driven by people who've, like, received a connection email. I mean, like, this is the types of people I'm talking about. People who go out of their way to tweet and add a GIF. Like, we all know that adding a GIF nowadays is like the most powerful thing you can do. But like, people really, really believe in and advocate and want to be part of what we're doing. So I'm going to just give you a little overview of like how I've got to this point. So pre-launch, what we did is we actually conducted like quite a large beta test. I mean, I say large, I'm talking about 100 odd users. But there's a few things that we did. One is we were really, really specific about the types of users we wanted to get into that. People who we ultimately believed would be like power users. So right now, like, not just my closest network, but also the people I feel like we get the most value from the product today are VCs and founders. People who meet lots of people at volume on a daily and weekly basis. So getting people who I think will really find value in the product, but most importantly is spending loads of time with them. Like, whether that's like in person, chatting with them, email every day, on Twitter, whatever way seems necessary, but really making them feel engaged and invested in the process. The second one is, which sounds easy for me as an application that you use at events, but attending relevant events where like your community are already gathered, talking about topics relating to what you're doing. You'd be blown away by the number of people who you just stick a product in front of them at an event, explain what you're doing, like before it's even launched, and they feel like a little bit connected to what you're doing. And then the final one is this notion of like feedback from influencers. So for me is people who I probably don't think will ever really use my product, but I think will have a strong point of view. And so reaching out to some like really big name founders, really big name investors, and just saying, hey, here's this thing I'm working on. I think it's valuable. I'd really appreciate your feedback. Not only will the feedback be valuable if they get back to you, but at the same time, I think that the big thing is if they like what you're doing, even if they don't use it, they might shout about it when you come along to actually launching. Quick show of hands who's heard of Product Hunt, by the way. Is that stupid to say to a room of these people? Or no? Okay, cool. So there wasn't many hands. So essentially, Product Hunt is the new front window to the world of startups. People go to Product Hunt to launch their product. And so basically what it is on a daily basis, you've got hundreds and hundreds of products all competing to be upvoted to the top of this kind of leaderboard. And essentially what it does from there is you access the Product Hunt marketing engine, which is newsletters, tweets, everything, which then can really start to kind of help your product reach kind of like whole new audiences and much larger groups of people. So you have like a really great page where you can kind of customize, add content, media, GIFs, videos. Below this, then you start to have like dialogue and conversation. People can start to ask questions. People, if like any of these beta testers who like love what you're doing, they come on board and they say, yeah, I've been using it for weeks, it's really great. And so when I actually launched, I ended up getting 1,300 upvotes on the day that we launched, which basically like put us at the top for that day with the third most upvoted product in February. And as a result, it's just kind of blown up from there. There's different categories as well. So there's like, we were top of tech, but there's games, there's books, there's AI, there's developer tools. There's a whole range of different kind of charts to compete to be the top of. So when we actually launched on their Product Hunt, there was a few key things that we did. One was like rallying the community. So those beta testers who we brought in kind of really close to the experience early on, we gave them a little insight into what was going on. We empowered them with kind of like little bits of content to share on the day that we were going to launch. Really made them feel part of it. But at the same time, knowing like, I mean, for me, like I'm a one-person company. Like I'm sure many of you folks working for like maybe 2, 3, 10, 20-person companies. You really have to get all your people engaged and kind of like out there and advocating and getting their friends to be involved. Like I can't underestimate the like people power at this point. The second thing is being like hyper engaged all day. If you like launch something on a day, you have to be able to answer questions within 30 seconds on Twitter. On Product Hunt, like people are asking questions, curious about roadmap, asking about features, asking when Android is going to be there. That's the biggest one. I'm really, really pissing off Android users right now. Aren't we all? So the big thing is to really connect with those people, like help them understand your roadmap, help them understand when things are going to be changing. And then the final thing is do the hard work. This sounds like obvious, but I must have gone into 150 different LinkedIn groups, which the irony is not lost to me. Got into 150 different LinkedIn groups around design, tech, creative industries, marketing, etc. And I didn't go in there and say, hey, every one of you download my product right now. I went in there and said, hey, here's this thing that we've built that we think you might find value in. We'd love to hear your feedback. And when you frame it in that way, that you're kind of like respecting the community and not just expecting them to download it because you're some chump who's trying to get their attention, it really is important to put yourself in their shoes. How are you creating value for those people? And then post-launch, there was a few things we did, one of which I actually didn't do. So first off was supporting content. So talked a lot about, wrote a big Medium article about the kind of the thinking and the story behind Ping to date. Supported that with some kind of like post-launch content around like the numbers, so how many connections were made, like who were like how many power users did we have? In fact, we had someone who made 100 connections in the 3 days post the launch of Ping, which just makes no sense. People like this stuff. It makes them feel connected to it again. They're like, oh, hey, that thing that launched like a couple of weeks ago. I remember that, and actually it's really exciting to see their progress. Can't reinforce that enough. Second thing is pushing for feedback. I feel like a lot of app developers will put their hands up and say that when they solicit feedback from users, there's many times when they actually really don't care. Like they're just doing it to make themselves look interested. Push for feedback, get it back in any way possible, and actually really give a shit about what people say. That's one of the most powerful things you can do. And then ultimately, which actually was the thing that I didn't do, which I wish I had, was evolve the product ASAP. I'm a product manager, designer by trade. I call myself now. And so without the technical skills, and I didn't have a technical team in place, I wasn't able to evolve the product directly after launch. But people were craving it. They're like, when's search launching? When's this launching? When's that launching? And in order to capitalize on that momentum, it's really important that you have like some pretty intensive product development and launch plan like post the like formal launch. So 3 just key pieces of advice. I'm doing really well on time. One is like build a strong community of users like way ahead of your formal launch. For me, I actually say to people, I say that like it was 10 years in the making launch up to the Product Hunt launch. Whereas all those people who I've got to know, like invested in relationships in, Then being able to, I suppose, call favors from those people, what I feel like is probably the first time in my career, is really powerful. So really think about how you can bring as many people who are of as influence as possible close to your experience early on. Then come launch day, it should be a breeze. I'd take some real time to understand Product Hunt. Really understand how to use it, understand why people use it, understand the way to engage with people when they're asking questions. It's not one of those things where you just put it up and much success, right? It's a case of really understanding the environment and how best to leverage that in order to deliver your product. And then the final one, as I've said, is I can't reinforce enough, ask for feedback, listen to people, and then actually care. If you're getting all of these people really excited by what you're doing, it would be a shame not to actually start listening to that and start using that feedback in meaningful ways to evolve your product. So, because we've only got 15 minutes, I've actually made this, which is a spreadsheet which outlines the 38 points of which I went through in order to launch on Product Hunt. Not all of it is specific to Product Hunt, but it just gives you an idea of the launch and then post-launch experience. It's open, it's free, there's no catch here. I'm not going to be there's no pay window there. But I think that you might find some valuable stuff in there. So you can get me on Twitter, at Carl Martin. You can get me on carl@works.com. I would genuinely love any of you, if you find value in it today, to use the product. Let me know any feedback. And other than that, enjoy the rest of the conference.